What seemingly insignificant moment changed your life forever? When I was 17, I filled out an application to be a front-end cashier at Rite Aid and asked my mum to drop it off for me on her way to work. When she was walking through the store, she bumped into the pharmacy manager in one of the aisles and asked him who she should give the application to. He took it and I ended up getting a job as a pharmacy tech. I worked there for 10 years and found my current career and husband because of that job. All because my mum and the pharmacy manager were in the same aisle on a random day. I think about it all the time. I once missed my bus and decided to walk the short distance to another bus stop instead of waiting. On that walk, I bumped into an old friend from high school who I hadn't seen in years. We decided to catch up over coffee, and he mentioned the job opening at his company that was exactly in my field. I applied, got the job, and it dramatically changed my career path, all because I missed a bus and took a spontaneous walk. I scored 1 point too low on a large aptitude test and didn't get into architecture school, and I haven't had any career aspirations since. The test is graded on a curve. If I'd gotten the same number of points any other year, I'd gotten a higher score and gotten in. But the admission requirement was also unusually high that year. So if I'd applied any other year, I'd gotten in anyway. Someone I worked with was fired for assaulting another co-worker. I was offered his position and have ended up spending 22 years of my life in the same field, now making almost 6 figures a year and having an okay, but not great, life. Said co-worker ended up serving multi-year prison sentences on drugs and weapons charges on multiple occasions, possibly to this day. In 1988, I started at higher education college on an IT course with a friend. On the first day, one of the women on the course started talking to him because he was wearing a Prince t-shirt, and she was also a fan. She was sat with another woman because they were in student accommodation together. We started talking and are still together nearly 36 years later. I took up fencing so I could teach it at an art school casual acquaintances were running. The job sucked and I quit after 3 months. They closed a year later, but the fencing club is either directly or indirectly responsible for 95 of my friends and meeting my now wife. It's been 15 years and I'm still right with the people from fencing. I invited a girl from my work over to play pool at my house when she called me to ask if I could cover a shift. Wasn't thinking about anything outside of just hanging out as friends. She came over, hung out for a bit, then left to go on a date. Ditched her date and I into it and came back over. 16 years and 2 kids later, and here we are. A gal who I had taught to ski, my job at a major resort in CO, told me I'll never see or hear from you again. Up to the challenge, I said, "Oh yes. You will give me your phone number." I didn't have a pen, so we wrote it in the dirt on the side of my Honda Civic. 2 years later, I moved to New York City and marry her. My dad told me to apply to a college and he would buy me lunch. I applied to the college with the shortest application and ended up getting a huge scholarship to go there. And then went there. Ended up in NYC for college when I had planned to be in California. I stopped talking to me after we graduated because of his girlfriend messaged me one day out of the blue after not talking for 4 years. We've been together for almost 4 years now with no end in sight. I was asked by my manager to train the new employee starting that afternoon. After a few years of one of us not being single, we both were. Some liquid encouragement got her to make the first move. Nearly 2 decades married now, and 2 rad kids. I dropped my wallet on the street one day without realizing it. A stranger found it, returned it to me, and refused any reward. That small act of kindness made me reevaluate how I treat others and inspired me to pay it forward. I recorded a temporary voiceover for a commercial I was working on. It stuck around and eventually made it as the voiceover on years' worth of national campaigns. That was a good use of 5 minutes. Skipped class and walked downtown. A friend who was in a nearby cafe saw me and waved me in. He was in a study group. Sat next to a cute girl in the study group. Now she's my wife. Because I failed the audition to get into the art school, I wanted for drama. 20 years later, I'm doing my PhD in education. I voted for Trump, and now I know even facts are wrong, or can choose to not believe it in my own world. I gave up my seat on public transport. Now I give way everywhere, got married. Getting stabbed in the back by the person who meant everything to me. Buying the same numbers every time landed me a $100,000 jackpot.